All right. So let's go through a few cases where I get hit in sparring and try to figure out why. So this kind of video analysis is very good if you want to improve your fighting because you can quite easily see what's going on. So here's the first one. So I'm in the left guy who is thrusting over here. So on the right hand side is more like a new fighter. So this is like a provocation. I try to make him to strike me, which he does. So then I just block it and then return the favor. But he then hits me high and then again low. And this already hits me, this low strike. So I stop and then he kind of finishes to the head. But what happened here was that when I was doing the high block here, that shield completely blocks my vision. I don't have his weapon in my control, so I'm backing away, which is correct, but I'm not fast enough. So what should I have done here? Depends on, but if I'm going to his right side, I should have gotten a lot closer and closed the line, either with my sword first and then with the shield. So now I just give some open space and can't see, so that's a recipe for disaster, and he gets me quite nicely over there. So next one, I'm on the left. So what happens here? So my opponent just throws a shot. And if you can see it, it just hits my helmet like that. Bang. So what I was doing here, I was kind of thinking that, okay, I'm gonna get a little bit closer and then work from there. But when I'm stepping closer, I notice that, okay, now he's striking. So I'm kind of thinking here in my head. I'm not really focusing on what's happening. And so his weapon is halfway when my block with the shield starts, and he gets me just like that. So then I end up in this high parry with the shield and thrusting position. But of course, he hit me already, so I don't continue here. So kind of a thinking mistake. Next one. Okay, I'm against on the right, so on the left is this in gray is a kind of a visitor fighter from another group. So he is just hitting me. So now this is interesting. What happens here is that kind of block his sword high here, and then I go for the low strike. It's kind of classic mistake because I wasn't tracking his sword with my shield. I just assumed he's hitting high. So that's one thing. He isn't. So he actually hits my arm. And the second problem here is that I'm standing still. Maybe a little bit going backward, but not enough. So I should have backed off more, or maybe gone to the right a great deal. But this, of course, is very risky that if you are hitting and your opponent is hitting, it's likely to end up in a double hit. Like what is actually what happened in this case. So the next one then, I'm on the right in the brown. So what I do there is thrust feint, and then I go low. So this one, my strike actually hits here. So, but my opponent is also striking. And I'm completely open, so he gets my shoulder or head. Don't remember which one. But the problem here is that when I go low like this, my shield should be going to high parry already now, but it's not moving. It's just sitting there. And it just starts moving when my opponent hits me. So it's very late. So the main problem with this one is that if I go like this, I should bring up the shield. almost immediately. So that was the mistake. I got hit here. The next one. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty much the same as before in one of the fights. So my opponent is striking high. I block that with the shield. And he does this like 1, 2. So he goes like 1 high, 1 low. So it's kind of round, 2 round strikes over here. So I block the first one, and then I counter to the leg, which hits, but he also gets me because I'm once again assuming that the second strike is also coming high, which it isn't. So mistake here again, same story. I'm almost stationary. I don't have his weapon in my control, so I should have gone after the first one, jumped to my left, forward left, and really like pushed his sword arm over there, so he shouldn't have been able to complete the strike. That's one possibility. Or I should have gone to my right, but this is the worst possible position I could be in. Once again, double hit, so very risky. Next one then. I'm on the left in the brown suit. This is actually quite nice what happened, so I got hit here. So I'm starting with my left foot forward, and then I switch. So this is in preparation to move to my opponent's right. So it kind of senses that something's going on here, but I do nothing. So I kind of just wait for him to come in and put my sword ready in the thrusting position. So I'm assuming that he's hitting high. So then I step to my right, which I do, but he's cutting to his right, and it just gets me. And the reason is that I went kind of sideways. If I would have gone like more to the forward, to my left, then I should have gotten his sword into my shield, and then I could have trusted him. He's actually protecting the low angle as well, so he's tracking my weapon with his shield quite well. But he barely gets me. But anyway, it's a mistake from my part, so it's open for a little while, and that's it. The other possibility would have been, of course, to go to my right, but didn't do that either. So I wasn't a threat over there. Next one. Okay, so my opponent is in the black and yellow, so he kind of thrusts high. So now he gets into really awkward position. And what I'm doing here is actually correct now. I'm stepping with my left foot, so I end up in this position, ready for thrusting. Now I'm close enough, so now he really cannot reach me. But for some reason, I'm not thrusting or cutting until very late here. And before that happens, he can actually cut my arm. So what I did here was the movement was correct, but I forgot to put in the thrust early enough. Of course, he has his shield quite low, so that's preventing me from doing it. But here already, I should have been thrusting to his side or armpit or something. The other option for me would have been to cut his leg when I go in, but didn't do that. But yeah, got hit to the arm. But quite happy for the overall movement here. That was correct. Could execute that. Okay, this one then. Yeah, once again, opponent comes in, tries to get my head. I block it, and then I try to push my shield against my opponent's weapon arm shoulder. But as you can see, it's really not there. For some reason, I keep my own weapon up as well. But in this situation, the only thing to do is to start hitting the opponent or push and get out of the situation. In this case, when I first push here, I should already be moving to my left, getting out of there. I don't, so he can free his arm well enough, and he's making a back edge cut to my side over there, so getting hit. So this is not going to work. It was a test, didn't work. This one then, I'm starting here the movement, but what happens? So, okay, I go in here and then thrusting. I block too fast with my shield. So my opponent is cutting over there, but I don't block it with my shield. So he's coming over. And now I'm striking myself. So what happens may be difficult to see, but my opponent actually hits my arm. So this was not good timing, although the technique was okay. I pushed the shield back too fast. So sometimes you can block too fast. This is one of those cases here. Bang, bang. So he cuts. I cut, but I cut into his weapon. So not very nice. And also I was standing in one place once again, so should have gone to my left for this technique, which I didn't do. So many problems here. Okay, next one. This is almost a repeat of the previous one. So my opponent once again, not the previous, but before. So he once again gets me just barely. So I try to get his leg, but he covers that with the shield and then cuts down. So what is my shield doing? It's not doing much. So the idea with the round shield is that the center grip or the boss should be tracking my opponent's weapon hand or the grip, and it's definitely not doing that. So, and it's also almost horizontal, so of course there is no line open, and he barely gets me, but he gets me. The next one. Okay, here's a newer guy. I try to go easy with these guys. So what he does is that he's having his sword arm forward. So I drop my weapon to my left and then I cut upward to his sword arm over here. But it's kind of a weak. It's in the middle of the blade, so it doesn't have much power. So he's not going to take it. And instead he cuts down, hits my arm. So bang, bang. Okay. So even though I pull my arm back, it's too late. So the mistake from my side is that I should have been tracking his sword and just parried high with my own weapon, which I didn't do until it's too late here. So I got hit. This one I thrust first and then a couple of cuts. And what happens now here? So I try to gain the control of my opponent's weapon with my shield, which I do, and I also I'm stepping to my right and cutting down to his leg. So it's not total disaster, but my shield is super high. It shouldn't be that high. It kind of keeps rising and rising, and poof. Of course then there is a slot over there. So it's kind of on the right hand side of me. So what I should have done is to push more hard with the shield. Otherwise it worked, but couldn't get the shield thing right. So of course he's now able to hit me. Otherwise I think the timing was quite good. So this comes the shield. And here comes the leg cut, which he blocks. And so, okay. This one, my opponent is having a two-handed sword. So in order to make this a little bit more interesting, I give him some space, because if you're with the shield, the best tactic for you is just put the shield in front of you and go forward and then cut him or thrust him. But I give him the first shot, so he hits there. I block it with my weapon actually. I don't know what he's doing. He's maybe trying to thrust next, but he then goes around and comes from the other side. So this was a good move, I think. So he thrust to my face over there. So for some reason I didn't see this. I almost blocked it with my sword, but couldn't do it. So yeah, maybe a new move. I wasn't kind of practicing against that. It was very nice. Again, same story. And this is even more fun because he first cuts my kind of head, so I block it with the shield. Also, my sword is thrust ready, so I'm kind of giving him some time. Then I will go in. But when I go in now, so he cuts to my right and then reverses the direction of the sword and thrusts to my right shoulder. So quite nice here. So what I should have done is to track his weapon a little bit better with the shield. Or I could have taken with the sword as well here, but I did neither. So basically, I just open up space for him to thrust, and that's why I'm hit. So this one then, yeah. So I just kind of open up the play here, trying to get him to. I hit basically his shield just to get him to strike me, which he does. And now this is kind of interesting that there's a tiny space in between my sword and shield, and he cuts straight down. And my shield parry is too slow. And the problem here, from my point of view, is that the shield is too much to my left, and also it's very close to my body. So I should have extended that. It's a very narrow space, so he gets me quite nicely over there. Just there. Yeah. That kind of mistake of not covering well enough. Okay. Next one, I come in with the thrust to open the play and cut to the leg. Then my opponent gets me over there. So what was I doing? Kind of nice attack, but I was moving to my left. I dropped the shield, didn't do anything. So of course, shield is going down. He's cutting me. Yeah. So maybe I was thinking here, okay, where is my opponent? Because I didn't get good pressure with the shield. So he was a bit far off. So I should have backed down more. So general idea is that if you don't know what's going on, because the shield will block your vision quite nicely. If you don't know what is going on, back off. Or at least have your own sword come up with some kind of a guard. Now it's pointing to the right, so it's doing nothing to protect here. But this is once again when you are practicing the techniques, things like this happen, and then you try to learn. Okay, quite good information for myself, and I think next sparring session will be about movement. More and more of the movement, so I need to be able to move better when I attack to the left or to the right. So I'm gonna iterate on the stepping and see how that works then.